Thank you, everyone for being here this afternoon. I'm going to make my presentation short. The project that I started over at the Brooklyn Navy Yard, it's called The Fate of Brooklyn Navy Yard's First Old Museum Collections. It's an idea for an event, an online exhibition, and I have been able to locate quite a number of partners for this one also. While I was working at the Brooklyn Navy Yard earlier than this year, so I worked with colleagues in the Brooklyn Historical Society, Brooklyn Public Library, Metropolitan Museum, a few other institutions also that I will briefly introduce. I started my work obviously in the Brooklyn Historical Society, where I found out that on the Brooklyn Navy Yard in the 19th century, an interesting museum was put up from which there's no trace left anymore of this today. And so the only catalog that we have preserved refers to objects such as Egyptian idols, pottery, ancient lamps, relics from pyramids in Egypt, from Carthage in Athens, Pompeii, and so on, a mummy from Egypt, and so on. So all of this obviously was at one point on display in the Brooklyn Navy Yard, including here pieces from a king of Mycenae and Argos, and so on. So we have very few traces, as I mentioned, have today. So here we have the one lithograph that was done in the 19th century of this space, which was at the heart of the center. And we have one that shows the interior and a very nice inscription here, or a text from a local newspaper in Brooklyn. It is not half so well known as it should be that there is a modest little fact in the shape of a museum or olla podrida of queer things pining away in sweetness in the desert air of the Brooklyn Naval Yard. We refer to the United States Naval Lyceum, founded in 1833, chartered in 1835. So my question was actually, where are all these objects today also? Because there's not a single trace anywhere. How did they make their transit also through Brooklyn as this port? So I'm working, intellectually here. This is there's a wonderful book called Vibrant Matter, a political ecology of things, also that helped me a little bit in shaping the idea here of getting people, students, also other colleagues excited about this. So you have the photograph here, the only one that is on the upper left side. You have also a current museum that is on the Brooklyn Navy Yard, where there's no kind of reference to this old place. So where are the objects today? So I found actually in the Smithsonian Institution, where, as some of you know, I have an office. We have, in fact, from the Brooklyn Navy Academy, a piece on display that is today. So it's an ancient Egyptian coffin fragment that we have here. So I took a few shots when I was in DC earlier this year. And the other part of this same coffin is today in a museum in Annapolis in Maryland. So obviously at some point someone cut this coffin into pieces and brought it throughout United States museums. So one project as part of this is to virtually reconnect also. There are in fact 3 other pieces. This coffin, the question also, why was this sawn in the first place and so on. So we have plenty of places here covered in the entire old world, in Egypt, in Greece, in Turkey, where these objects come from. And there's also a link actually to FIT, in that one of the donors of this coffin, for instance, was serving as a consul in Alexandria, where he worked on cotton of Egypt. So he's a very interesting character. Through him, these pieces were channeled. We also have other objects, such as a marble head that was from Ephesus on display in this very first museum, and is today also in Annapolis in Maryland here. So we have the donor. So the research that I started with a student actually on this donor who came from several trips around the world in the 19th century, and people obviously found him a very illustrious individual, Matthew Perry. So Ephesus today in modern Turkey, a place where this head initially is coming from. So I reached out also to some Turkish colleagues there. As you know, I work on color, on polychromy. So one of the ideas here, and this is a few photographs that I took from recent work I did in the Metropolitan Museum with an portable X-ray to identify original traces of surface. So the idea is also to work a little bit more on these collections and to revive the stories of individuals and objects that came through this Brooklyn Navy Yard in the 19th century. So the event and online exhibit will be later in 2021. Right now it's called an art historiography of Brooklyn's cancelled museums. So I look in through colonial encounters. Also, we reconstruct this coffin and develop a video also. So I'm including students here from FIT in this project. We will have an event also with colleagues at the Metropolitan Museum about coffins here in New York City. Why are they here in the first place? And what is the vibrancy also that comes with all of these objects here? We had an event already in October here at FIT, an online event, obviously, with the local RC. This is the American Research Center of Egypt, where we discussed Egyptologies at the moment. So as I'm looking through more of these objects throughout America that were in the Brooklyn Navy Yard, thank you and for making me also part here of this team. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Alex.
Thank you. So, do we have questions? We have time. We have time in between each presentation for questions.
Yeah, does anybody have any questions or comments for Alex before we move on?
I have just one question. Alex, what thought have you given to the way in which the exhibition is going to be presented? What kind of technology and format are you thinking of?
So we are thinking about an online exhibition, obviously. So we still have to figure out, there are in Brooklyn based artists also and curators themselves who I would like to have actually involved more. So the idea was in the first place to work more with Brooklyn based artists and curators. So I had a few meetings with school teachers also in Brooklyn earlier this year who gave me advice also for there was an artist also who's doing a curation of exhibits online. So it's mostly really these kind of local Brooklyn people that I want to involve in the technical aspect of the online exhibit, Michael. Thank you.
And Maria has a question in terms of how will you be doing the outreach to these different entities?
Oh, it's already started, Maria. So I had already meetings with several of these institutions. So I have my own network also is in the Smithsonian institution. So so I have my colleagues there with whom I have then in touch, been through the embassies also. So there is obviously a lot of international involvement here because these objects are from Egypt, from Turkey and other parts. They came already back in the 19th century. Oh, outreach, you mean by, sorry, I did not see the chat here.
In terms of the organizations that you're outreaching to be a part of.
Outreach to the organizations that
that you're partnering with?
Yes. So I mean, they are all involved, obviously. All of these organizations, Brooklyn Public Library also for an event later. So we want to make sure that they are part of this whole project here. So I reached out to individual colleagues there, curators also at the Brooklyn Navy Yard. So there's a team that works actually in the development department on the Brooklyn Navy Yard, where they have also exhibitions coordinators and so on. So I hope this is the correct answer.
Right, Maria, did we answer your question? I tried to. There's questions that are being dropped in the chat. Maria, did we answer your question? Yeah, okay. Corey, can you unmute Maria?
Hi. So what I meant to say was, it's a little bit different in computer science. So I'm just like very curious how it's done in another field. Like, how do you initially contact people? Like, how do you initially say, hi, Metropolitan Museum people, like, can I do a collaboration with you? Is it as simple as reaching out through an email, or do you already have connections? I'm wondering how the initial establishment of those networking and collaboration happens.
Thanks, Maria. Yes, so I mean, I have my own networks already that I have been building up over these last decades with the Metropolitan Museum and these other colleagues. So I mean, yeah, generally when I Brooklyn Navy Yard also is an easy place actually. So there are you can, when you are there. So like I was in the spring also, I would meet also the Brooklyn Museum. So there is the team that is working on the site also from the development team. I had met with them. I sent an email to them and being in person also, it's good to, there are coffee shops also out there in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. So I had invited colleagues there for short meetings. I had also, as I mentioned, the school teachers for 1/3. I'm usually there on Thursday mornings, at least when it was still possible. So these Thursday mornings, I would generally then invite one of them, and we would have a 1-hour meeting to just brainstorm. It was just basically the first few weeks was just introducing the ideas that I had after having seen that there is nothing about this old museum there somewhere, and then chatting emails is the normal way.
Great. Well, thank you, Alex, and thank you for the questions.